Hey, what's up, beautiful people? In this video we have one of the most interesting tests, and we took three of the most popular camera right now on the market and we did a very good test. So we do have the Red Komodo, Blackmagic Pocket 6K Pro and the Canon C70. Different brand, different sensor, different prices, but we are focusing on the image quality. And listen, if you guess which is which or what camera is what, you do have the chance to win a copy of Resolve 17 Studio. This is Resolve 16, but you can literally upgrade into Resolve 17, and this is Resolve 17. And you know what, back in the days when you used to buy Blackmagic cameras, they used to send you a dongle, and I actually have two of these and I'm giving one away, but you just have to guess. So three of you guys would be able to win this if you guess which is which. So let's talk about the camera first. We do have the Red Komodo, good form factor, boxy design, red code raw, ProRes, see fast, and a sensor that's slightly wider than the Pocket 6K Pro, and obviously that red sensor that everyone is talking about. And we also have the Blackmagic Pocket 6K Pro EF mount, those ND filter, but we did not use ND because that was not going to be fair on other cameras. And you also have Blackmagic RAW and ProRes and so many other slow motion flavors. And we do have the Canon C70, which is the most, I would say overhyped camera, and we will talk about that later. But a good sensor, actually kind of similar or same sensor as the C300 Mark II, and it has ND, which is actually better NDs comparing to the Blackmagic Pocket 6K Pro. Again, we will talk about that later. If you're new here, my name is Kashilembo, and this channel is all about filmmaking, gear review, and tips and tricks to help you improve your visual storytelling. And if that's something that you're into, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and turn on your notification bell icon so you don't miss when I post a video like this. Let's talk about price. The first or the most expensive cameras in the three is the Red Komodo, and the second, which is the Canon C70, and the last is the Blackmagic Pocket 6K Pro. But you know what, obviously different price and all that stuff, but we do buy cameras because of the image quality. And in this case, which one would you choose? So we do have a two test. One is outside, another one is inside, and I want you to really pay attention to these images and see if you can tell them or tell me which is which. Obviously you do have the DaVinci Resolve to grab, and I just want to see that obviously the price difference of these cameras from the Blackmagic to the C70 and the Komodo, there's kind of like a big price jump. But would you really want to pay that big price difference to something that you can achieve in post, or to a different quality different that you can really achieve in post? And that's what we are doing this test. The lens that we used on this test was the Zeiss Otus, and the reason why we did that is that we did not want to use the cheap photography lenses that would not keep up with the high sensor performance. So you are seeing basically exact same lens, same setting and different sensor, but the only thing that we do care about is the image quality. And at the end of this video, I'm going to tell you what camera I like and what camera I do not like. I'm also going to tell you the good and the bad thing about each camera so you guys can make up your mind. So let's go to the test number one. Again, check this and let me know what do you think. Let's go. As you can see, that is test number one. We was over the hill. It was very, very cold, and that's why we kind of had to go there where it looks beautiful so you guys can see how these cameras perform outside. So by now, do you know which is which, or have you got an idea of what camera is what? So the next test was indoor. Again, same lighting. This time we control everything, same lens, same setting, and 3 different cameras. Remember, you can still grab your copy of DaVinci if you tell me which camera is which, or if you guess that correctly. Make sure you stay till the end, because I will tell you what I like about each camera and what I do not like about each camera. And yes, we are going to talk about the blue tint with the Pocket 6K Pro. Let's check the clips out. Now let's talk about each camera, and I'm going to start with the C70. I'm going to tell you a few things that I like and few things that I do not like about this camera. The first thing is the form factor. Very good. The grip felt very good, and it's quite plasticky, but I don't really mind. I also like how it has all these preset buttons that allow you to kind of customize it to how you like it, and that would save you so much time on the field. Also, the ND filters are beautiful. They are better than the Pocket 6K Pros if you ask me. And listen, the dual card and all that dual audio, which is dope. And this is like a C100 that shoots 4K, and I know people are comparing this with the C300, which is, yes, they have the same sensor, but I feel like they are not on the same level. I've also seen people who are comparing this camera with the Red Komodo, and that's very disrespectful to the Komodo community. And here are a few things that I do not like about the Canon C70. First of all, it's how everyone is overhyping this camera. Yes, it's a very good camera, but let's not lie, this camera is not perfect. And I've seen so many YouTubers talking about this is the best camera they've ever seen, and if that's really the best camera you've ever seen, that means you're blind. And another thing that I have to talk about is the codec. I'm not really a fan of XAVC because it breaks so much when you're trying to push it in post. And I know Canon claims this camera has a 16 stops of dynamic range, which I feel like, I'm telling you, it has 13 usable. And you know what, there's a reason why DP tests cameras before production, because they really want to see what the manufacturer think and what the camera really is give or output. So by testing this, I feel like it has 13 usable stops of dynamic range. And another thing that I'm going to talk about is the image quality of this camera. It feels very video-y, it feels very digital, it's not really filmic like any other cameras that I've used, and for the price point I feel like that's really doesn't add up to me. So Canon, if you make a camera that looks very video-y, I'm not gonna spend all that money buying it anywhere. So let's talk about who this camera are for. So you know, there's narrative, there's commercial, there's so many things, and there's people who really want to relive their memories, and this camera is for those events, basically live event, show, concert, wedding, and YouTube videos, those things that will not really require your camera or your sensor to have more cinematic characteristics or more cinematic quality. And this feels very light, the image quality feels very camcorder-ish, which is, again, you know, Canon, I feel like they made this because they wanted to distract people from the overheating king, and they said, you know what, let's put this camera out there. Overall, the Canon, it's a very good camera to people who really want it, or to people who feel like this is the camera that they have been waiting for. And another advantage of Canon is that they have the biggest YouTuber, and those YouTuber, their job is to make the best advertisement video or promotion video of these cameras, and they will tell you, oh, this is what you've been waiting for, and then you're going to buy it, and by the time you get it out of the box, you're gonna go to your local park and get one clip of your lens and put the clip in your Facebook group and say, oh my god, I just got the camera, it has a good dynamic range. And then after that, you're gonna put a camera on yourself, and the next one is gonna come, they will tell you, hey, this is the best camera, get it, get it, get it. And one thing that you need to remember the hype of the C200, it have died now. The hype of the R5, it have died now. The hype of the R6, whatever that camera is called, it's no longer there. So you have to focus on people that encourage you to talk more about stories, because those are things that will always be relevant. So that is my take on the Canon C70. And now let's talk about the Red Komodo. Listen, Red sensors, they are beautiful, and you can't really take the credit away from them. And Komodo is really a good camera, but there's few things that I kind of notice, or the things that I really do not like when I work with the Komodo. First of all, with the Blackmagic Pocket 6K Pro, if something takes you 5 minutes to get, on the Komodo is double, if not triple, because the camera is very, very slow, like very slow. And it kind of like, you know, we have to wait for this, we have to wait for that, and you know, black shading and temperature, this and that. And I feel like also the menu is not really there, which is, that's good if you have a team and if you have time. And this test, we put the camera on a hill and was trying it, and the Komodo started its own thing and we had to wait for it. And I feel like that's one thing I don't like. Also, if you're shooting in ProRes on the Blackmagic Pocket 6K Pro and you're shooting in ProRes on the Red Komodo, you cannot tell the difference at all. And the red shine better when you're shooting in R3D or Red Code RAW, because that codec is better than the Blackmagic RAW or B-RAW. So if you're just going to use the ProRes, honestly, you will never tell the difference. But for me, again, if I film Blackmagic RAW and R3D, I can still match them perfectly. And that's why I feel like I would never pay too much price difference for the small quality difference that I can achieve in post and through lighting. And that's something that I mentioned in my last video. Also, something that I really like about the Komodo is the form factor. This is a box that's very light and you can literally rig it how you want, and it's very easy to shoot with the Komodo. If you know, like sometimes when you go to shoot in like supermarkets and everywhere, they'll ask you, hey, do you have a permission? But if you have the Komodo, you can literally rig it very tiny and you'll be ready to go. But the Komodo price, that's something that I feel like, you know what, price, performance and image quality, it doesn't really worth it for me. But overall, the Komodo is a very good camera. So now let's talk about the Blackmagic Pocket 6K Pro, which is the least expensive camera amongst the three, and it performed very well, as you can see, which I'm guessing you've guessed, and I want to see the comments below which one you think is which, and what camera. This camera gives you a good image quality, good codec and all that stuff. You've got the 6K Pro sensor, you do have the ND as mentioned. We did not use the ND because that was not going to be fair on the Komodo, but I kind of like the camera for the image quality that it gives you, the flexibility that it gives you with media, also the codec. But the only thing that I do not like about this camera, it's really the tint on the screen, which is going to be fixed by Blackmagic. Like I've mentioned in my Red Komodo video that I was going to review later on after Red have added anamorphic and kind of play with their menu, but now they have added anamorphic, but I'm still waiting for Red to fix their menu because I really don't like it, and it's very laggy and is not quite there yet. But coming back to the Blackmagic, I really love the menu, I love the camera, I love the sensor and what it can do for you, and you can really push this and you're not really limited because you've got Blackmagic Raw and ProRes. So guys, that's it for the three cameras. Remember, so tell me which is which and you would win a copy of Resolve. And I'm doing the Blackmagic Pocket 6K versus the Red Komodo, and that's where I'm going to announce the winner in my next video. So again, if you're new here, thank you so much for watching, and this is your boy Kashilembo. I'm a DP director based in London, and I'll be speaking to you later.